Hi class. So I am going to show you how to use the grid perspective tool. But before that, I'm going to go back to some basics about starting a document, things that I haven't shown you before. So you see here I have 4 different artboards and they're all 11 by 17. So for you to go and create that, you're going to go to create in Illustrator a new document. And I have here 11 by 17 inches horizontal. And then right here, I have 4 artboards, okay? So the default is 1, but you can put whatever you want in there. And then you want to click on advanced options. So very often it's not showing there. And then you can go to more settings. And when you get to more settings, it allows you to determine how much space you want between each of your artboards, and you can also determine the columns. So I have mine set so I have 2 and 2, so it's easy to work around there. So and I have put 6 inches in between, but let's say we put 8 inches between each one, and I'm going to keep it at 2 columns. Okay, so then I go to, and I have CMYK and high resolution. So I'm going to say create document. And so here I've got these 4 boxes, and you notice I have a nice amount of space in between them. The reason why I wanted to do that is when you're working, you may want to pull some of these tools out further and give yourself a little bit more room to work. So this is just a nice way to work on the document. I wanted to know how to do that. The other thing I wanted to go over was creating color swatches. So you have here your swatches, and we can add new swatches to this. What I want to show you is a technique that I use to really get colors down that I like. So I go to the CMYK because I feel like I get versus say RGB. You know, when you add a color, there are only 3 guides, but also you see RGB, it's additive and subtractive at the same time. So if I add more blue or reduce the blue, I'm going to green too. I just find it harder and more complicated to work with, where CMYK, it's going to more blue to no blue at all. So there's no blue there. So you see that the only reason why the yellow was showing was because I had some yellow in there in these tones. So what I do is I create a color that I like. I'm going to make the outline none. Go back to this color. So you might want some muted colors. If you go back to thinking about color theory and what you know, if you have a blue color and you want to dull it down, you look at what the opposite of blue is, which would be orange. So if I have a nice intense cyan and I want to dull that, I would add a little bit of magenta and a little bit of yellow, which in effect, yellow and magenta make orange. So the more I add these two, the duller I'm getting. So you can think about how dull or muted you want your colors or how intense. If you go to the standard palette for Illustrator, these colors are really pretty pure. So if you look at that breakdown when you hover, see it's 75 cyan and 100% yellow. This red is 15% cyan, 100% magenta, 90, and there's no black in any of these colors. So you're getting really intense colors. So you might want to play with colors that are more muted. So again, I'm back here. I'm going to make this a little darker and duller by adding some magenta, and I've got full yellow there. So I'm going to make a box. I'm holding down the shift key to make a square here, and there's my color. And I'm going to copy and paste so that I have a whole bunch of these squares. Copy, paste. This is my way of doing it just because I really like to see the colors in front of me and see the harmony. And so then you can align them so that they're all nice and even at the top and evenly spaced. And actually, since I've spaced those evenly, I'll copy and paste and put these down here. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the next color, and I'm going to play with pulling out, you may want a vibrant green. So there I've got a vibrant green. And then I want a blue. So I'm going to pull back on the magenta and the yellow until I get a blue. And then I'm going to make a purple color. So that would be cyan, magenta. And I'm going to pull back a little bit to make it more reddish purple. And then let me make a orange here quickly. And then I'll make a red. And let me make a coral. It's like we need a yellow here, right? So let me make a yellow, soften with a little magenta, and then I'll make a maybe like a coral color. I said that before, so let me get that pinkish coral in there. So now I look at these colors and they don't feel harmonious to me. This green and this red feel like they're pretty much good in the same family. And I do also make multiple palettes. So I do like this pink with this green and this red, but this blue needs to be dulled down more to be compatible with those. Now it looks a little too dark, so I'm going to play with dulling it down. And this purple really needs to be dulled down quite a bit. So if I add yellow, which is the opposite of purple, it dulls it down. Pull back a little bit on that yellow. This orange is a tricky color and it gets muddy pretty quickly. So you add just a tiny bit of cyan and it dulls down. So there we go. And then this green, I'm going to make it a little lighter and add some more magenta. I'm just going to maybe pull back. On that magenta, just make it lighter. Okay. So now I start to look at the color harmony in here. Now this red looks too intense to me, so I'm going to pull back on the magenta there. That's too much. Pull back on the yellow, maybe add a little cyan. So you see when I'm looking at the colors, I look at the harmony of them, and then here I might, this palette I might try to make a little bit more intense. So I might pump up that magenta. Let me add a little cyan to that yellow. In this blue, sometimes I like to make it a little more turquoisey, and maybe purple doesn't go here at all. So maybe what I'm going to do is add another blue, so one that's more of a brilliant blue, and this becomes more of a turquoisey blue. And the other thing is maybe sometimes I'd like to, instead of this green, I maybe want to add a brown, because sometimes what you want to do is you don't want everything to be hot. You want to have something that complements and contrasts it. So actually I'm not finding that any of these are really working that well, and I don't want to belabor it too much. I just want to give you the idea of how to create these palettes, and this is looking better now than this one is. Maybe this pink needs to be more intense. But then once I get a color palette that I like, then I can go and actually drag a color into the palette. Let me put this on hold for a moment. I put it on pause there for a minute because, true confessions, I realized I didn't remember exactly how to add the colors to a swatch. So I want to show you too that you can change the size of the swatches by going up to your hamburger, and you can make a large swatch view. You can also go and create a new color group. Notice these folders in here, so I'm going to hit a new color group. I'm going to name it building. And so here's my new color. So I can, for each one of these, I can click here so it shows up, and then I drag it down into here. So I already did the blue, so I can drag the turquoise into there. This blue seems very similar. Let me add the pink. And dragging them in there so that then you get these colors here. So if you go and you create a box, you can go and create objects using these different colors. And then hopefully I remember how to do this next step properly. Just that blue. Okay. So now if I go in and I change this color, fingers crossed that it does work this way, I can go in and change that color in my swatch. And so what it will do is globally everywhere that color is. Now it didn't change it over here because it was the new shapes that I've added from the palette. So if I have this color here all these times and I go in here and I select that and I change it, it will change. It didn't change all of them. Well, if I go and select them all at once, which isn't what I wanted to do, I wanted it to change globally. So there are other ways to do it. I know that I have gone, and if you delete a swatch, for example, so sorry about that. I thought for sure there was a way that if I had created a color and I went and changed it, it would change everything. Now that does definitely work in Illustrator, but you're not working in Illustrator. I mean in InDesign. So that's unfortunate because that would be a really nice option if it would automatically change all. Oh, you know what? Global. Let's see if that does it. Right here, let's select this color. That is what it does. Sorry, it's not going to be it. I change it. Yeah. So globaling, that's not what we wanted to do at all. It just changes the swatch to not totally be a process color. So, well, anyway, the good thing that these tools do is if you set it from the beginning is you will use these same colors and be in harmony. So rather than changing your mind midway through, it's really good to pick out a color palette to work with from the beginning. So if I switch back to this project here, so you can see, I'm going to zoom in here, this color palette, this was a big project, so it probably had maybe 20 different colors, but you see this purple here and the purple over here are the same. And then there's this bluish purple in the background, which is maybe the same color as this purple, not sure there. And then we've got this color here on this building, which is the same as the color here and here. So it would be great if that swatch thing would change everything, because if I decided, oh, I don't like this purple, you want to change it so that it changes with the whole document and that you're not going in and selecting every purple that is that color. But so it's good to start out with the colors that you really want to do, which is what I did with this project, and I never needed to go in and change the colors again because I picked colors and spent really some time thinking about it and experimented by layering the buildings for a little bit before I really set on the colors and drew everything in there. And occasionally I might have added another color in here if there was something unique that I wanted to do that I didn't have anywhere else, like maybe the arch of this building here. Maybe that is a one-time spot where that color is, but it's not, there's still a color harmony because you keep seeing the same pinkish color throughout. So that will help you with your drawing with something that's a little bit more complicated as this. Okay, put this on pause.